Hello, everyone, and welcome to Calls. This is the 2021 John Deere Classic Initial Research Show with a bit of a twist. Because if you didn't read the title or you didn't see the thumbnail, we've got a winner this week. Cam Davis came through at 100 to 1 for us after four excruciatingly nervous holes of playoff holes that I don't think I took a breath for about an hour. He came through, made it a very, very profitable weekend for me. So I hope you jumped on the bandwagon. If you tuned in all last week, you know how I was very high on Cam Davis. Had played similar courses very well. Didn't look good at the end of his round, even though he birdied 18, as Neiman and Lebiota had Neiman and Troy Merrick, had birdie putt. Neiman had an eagle putt on 17, made his birdie, and I figured one of them would birdie up 18 to win. They didn't. 3-man playoff. Neiman bogeys the first, so it's Troy Merritt and Cam Davis for 3 or 4 more excruciating playoff holes that I don't think I took a breath for. But Cam Davis came through at 100 to 1, so good weekend already. Not to mention that DFS was very solid. Had a couple lineups with Kazire, Cam Davis, McNeely, who had a big run, Noren, who had a big run, who I had a top 20 on, so that cashed. Had a top 20 on Cam Davis, so obviously that cashed. It was a good weekend. It was a good weekend. For once, I can tell you the outright betting card came through. Might not happen very often, as is the nature of this business. When you place, that's why they call it gambling. When you place so many win bets, they're not all going to come in, obviously. But hit that like button for the win this week. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Get some more content like that. Hopefully we can find some winners for you again. All the support's appreciated. But this is the John Deere Classic Research Show, and I have done very little research because I was on the edge of the couch watching that playoff. So I'm going to be kind of doing this research firsthand with you as we go through it. It's been a great weekend, so I'm pretty stoked. It's the first hit that I've had, and I've put it out live. So it's exciting times. Hope you all enjoyed the success as well. In the comments, hey, let me know how you did this weekend, DFS or outright betting. What you're looking for this week. What do you want to take a look at? Just gonna be glancing down. Chat is open. Chat's live. Interact. Love the interaction. Ask questions. It's what we're here for. But enough about this past week. Let's go ahead and give it right back and see what we can find in losing propositions for this week at the 2021 John Deere Classic. And when we come over here, I'll switch back to the main page for Fantasy National, which, by the way, I'm so excited that I didn't even mention it in the intro. All stats provided by FantasyNational.com. Amazing resource. It's absolutely what I use to back Cam Davis this weekend. Results speak for itself, because an idiot like me wouldn't be able to hit Cam Davis without FantasyNational.com. So go check it out. Well worth the investment. But taking a look at an initial look at the field here. Again, just the basic search on Fantasy National for the last 50 rounds by strokes gained total. Daniel Berger, number 1 in the field by strokes gained. He's kind of the only name that I've seen here at the top of the board here. Brian Harmon, Streelman, Siwoo Kim's back. Johnny Vegas, Sungjae, who quietly had a very, very good Sunday at the Rocket Mortgage. He made some noise there, probably about the end of the front nine, beginning of the back nine, and as more holes were played, people just kept getting birdies because it was an easy course. But Sungjae had a very good Sunday. Alex Noren, the leader in the clubhouse for a long time at the Rocket Mortgage, Somebody else I backed on the top 20. He's back this week at TPC Deere Run, which is in Silvis, Illinois, pretty close to the Iowa border. So we'll take a look at the wind finder here at the end of the show. Again, for what it's worth, we're 5 days out. It's liable to change in an hour. But Russell Henley, Brian Scarnett, Pat Perez, Lucas Glover, Aaron Wise, HV3, Kazire, Putnam, Power, Whaley, Leviota, who had a very, very good Rocket Mortgage tournament. He was the playing partner of Cam Davis in the penultimate group this weekend. Doug Gam, Charles Howell. So Maverick McNeely down here had a huge week, very good week for Maverick McNeely. So there's, I don't see a lot of big names, again, getting so close to the Open Championship, or otherwise known as the British Open. Guys are resting up and either already over in England or getting ready to prepare to travel over there and play some link style courses. So not a lot of big names again this week. The Rocket Mortgage had a pretty good field for being getting closer to the Open Championship, but it's not quite an alternate field level of competition, but it's certainly not the strongest field in the world, is what I'll say. The only other name I want to highlight here is Zach Johnson. He has played this course very, very well in the past. I believe he was a previous 2-time champion. I think he might have won it 3 times total. So just to give you an initial idea of the kind of golfer that succeeds here at TPC Deere Run. But again, this is just a quick overview of the field, sorted by strokes gained total for the last 50 rounds. It is a D.A. Wabering design, so there are no D.A. Wabering courses in Fantasy National to kind of compare it to, so we're definitely not going to be able to take that angle that we did this past weekend with the Don Ross design at the Rocket Mortgage. It's a fairly short course. It is actually deemed medium length. It's on the shorter end of medium length, just over 7,200 yards. So we'll take a look at that length quite a bit, as it's one of the few indicators or comparison points that we can use here at FantasyNational.com. And we're back on bent greens, which I believe the Rocket Mortgage had, but had some POA overseeded. This is pure bent. So guys who putt well this past weekend could be some more kind of a direction you might want to look for this week as we move along, trying to analyze the John Deere Classic. Let's take a quick look at the course breakdown here. Again, it's a par 71. It's a D.A. Wabering design, and you've got a few holes that are absolutely attackable, and some holes you pray for dear life on. Whatever side you start on, whether it's the front or the back, on Thursday or Friday, you come out and you kind of get introduced to the course. The first 2 on the front 9, very, very easy. The first hole on the back 9, very, very easy. So you're eased into your round. But right after that, the third hole on the front, the second and the third hole on the back punches you in the mouth. The par 5s are very, very attackable. You've got a very, very short par 5 here at on the second at 535, 4% eagle rate. You saw a few eagles this past weekend at the Rocket Mortgage. One of the highest eagle rates on the course was, I believe, 17 with a 3%. This is a whole percent more eagle rate here at TPC Deere Run. So one of the models, or later in the week, I started focusing on birdies are better, and I even added a 5% eagle rate or eagle factor into my models. That's looks like something that we could maybe take a look into here, because you've got a 4%, which is astronomically high, and a 2.5% here on 17. So two very, very eagleable holes, if that's a word, eagleable. Very attackable holes on the 2nd and the 17th. Both par 5s are the two easiest holes on the course. The other par 5 is the 10th. Plays as the 4th easiest. Doesn't yield as many eagles, but is certainly a birdie hole. So you're giving up a quarter of a shot if you par. If you par number 10. But the rest, then after the easy holes, you get punched in the mouth. You got the 4th toughest on the front 9. And you've got the 5th and 6th toughest on the back 9 after your ease into your round. A lot of bogey rates here. The 9th hole is the toughest. Plays to 0.2 of a shot over par. It's a long par 4, 501 yards. So more so than last week, we might look into the Pro Visualizer and take a look. I'm not terribly familiar with this course. I was a little more familiar with the Rocket Mortgage in the Detroit Golf Club. So we'll take a look. I won't go too far in depth with it, but it'll be a good idea just to kind of look and see what kind of layout, water hazards, bunkers, and all that. Scrolling down here to the course breakdown here at the TBC Deere Run, we're going back to what I would consider a fairly normal distribution of strokes gained per round. Last week you saw how astronomically high strokes gained putting was at Detroit Golf Club. You had to putt well if you were going to win. We're back to what I'll call a normal distribution, where strokes gained approach outweighs strokes gained putting. Sometimes it's by a little, sometimes it's by a lot, but this is about average. So your approach play's got to be on point. Obviously, you're going to have to putt well, to win a tournament. But putting is not going to be as crucial as it was this past week at Detroit Golf Club. Your ball striking is back to normal is what I'll say, because last week the short game was so astronomically higher than the ball striking, which quick reminder, ball striking is off the tee and approach. Short game is around the green and putting. So you're back to your, again, a fairly normal distribution or partition of strokes gained here. Off the tee, still not as important. Around the green, not important at all. And like I talked about up here with the scorecard, and last week at the Rocket Mortgage, you had to attack the par 5s if you were going to succeed. Here at TBC Deere Run, you're going to have to take advantage of the par 5s. They're 3 of the 4 easiest holes. You have got to score on the par 5s if you're going to win at TPC Deere Run. I don't like to look at these 3 graphs much, but you can pause the video if you want and take a look at it. These are generally the same shape across all courses. However, last week, I believe the winners on fairways gained was low, very low, and that told me that distance mattered a whole lot more than finding the fairway, and that turned out to be the case, as Cam Davis, one of his biggest weapon, his biggest asset is his driver. Granted, he was hitting fairways, especially in the playoffs. He was hitting fairways, but throughout the week he was just hitting it far and then making putts, which is strokes gained putting. Last I checked, he was 3rd for round 3 when he made his big move. I haven't seen the round 4 stats. Again, I just started prepping for the show about an hour ago after jumping for joy hitting Cam Davis. But more of a expected distribution on stats there. Hole composition I like to look at, gives you an idea of how par 3s, par 4s, and par 5s are kind of laid out on a course. The plurality of par 4s come in the 400 to 450 range. All your par 3s are 1 in each. They're spread out, so not a lot to really gain by singling out a yardage there in your models. You've got a few longer par fours, so I imagine the approach shots might be longer in nature this week. And then your par fives, there's only 3 on the course. I'm not sure why this is showing 4, but you got one that's I'm sorry, no, this is a par 4 500 plus. That's the toughest hole in the course, excuse me. So you only have 3 par fives, and I believe is it the easiest that's the longest? No, it's 604. It's the 4th easiest. So you've got 2 very, very, very short par fives. Sorry, 2 very, very short par fives at 535 and 538. And this one's attackable still at 604. But 2 very, very, very short par fives by PGA Tour standards. So that's something interesting to look at. And when we look at the approach shot distribution, actually the majority of approach shots at this course come from 125 to 150, which is kind of surprising, considering you've got a lot of par fours that are long. Now this would, for bigger hitters, yes, this would be kind of that range. But this is kind of surprising that 125 to 150, exactly 3 percentage points more than the average tour event. So it doesn't look like long irons come into effect here a lot. Again, almost 3 percentage points down from the average tour event. So looks like this range is going to be the one that I'm going to take a look at this week. If you'll remember last week, I really hammered the 75 to 100 range because it was about 5 percentage points more than the average tour event at Detroit Golf Club. And combining that with the distance factor and strokes gained putting and the Don Ross, everything kind of pointed to Cam Davis at the upper end of the betting board. We won't mention that I bet Chris Ventura at 350 to 1, so we'll forget about that. But so yeah, we're gonna look at this range a lot this week. It looks like everything else is kind of right at tour average or significantly lower. So we're definitely going to take a look at that range throughout the week. The cut line way back in 2004 was very, very difficult, +2. And over the years, it has gotten easier and easier to the point where it's been under par and as low as -3 in previous editions. The Rocket Mortgage, even though it had only been in effect for 2 years, 2019, 2020, it was -4, and that's very low. That's an easy cut line. And this year it was at -3, so it played tougher than the previous 2 years, but it was still easy. This is at -3, and this is one of the events that got canceled last year due to the coronavirus pandemic. So no data from 2020. I'm not sure about 2019, but like last week with the Rocket Mortgage, this is there's 2019, so no 2020. Much like last week with the Rocket Mortgage, we're going to take a focus on easy courses. That is one angle we can take a look at with Fantasy National, is easy courses. This is a fairly easy course, maybe not as easy as Detroit Golf Club, but certainly easy. And that was, again, one of the factors that led to the very, very successful weekend that I had. More birdies than bogeys, that leads to easier golf course. Driving accuracy, some holes here are placement holes. So that's why you see the accuracy here. Some of them are, and this course is naturally just easy to hit fairways anyway. So you're 10% higher hitting fairways here than you are on the average tour event. So, and we'll take a look a little bit lower here, this graph down here, the average distance, driving distance. You'll see it's kind of similar to last week. Greens in regulation, a lot higher here. That's generally because you've got shorter approaches in. You're scrambling better here just because you're shorter to the hole than normal. 3 putts per round, lower than the average tour event, so putting is not as difficult here, is what it seems. Here's the driving distance. Here, 284. Average tour event's 282, so it's not a lot. Definitely not as significant as last week's when the Rocket Mortgage was 296 at Detroit Golf Club and the average tour is 282. That was a significant disparity between there and the average tour event. This is still more, but not as much. And the bottom 2 charts here, naturally, if you're closer to the hole off your drive and you're shorter in with your approach shots, your greens, your proximity, is going to be closer than the average tour event. You see that here by almost 1 whole foot, or exactly 1 whole foot closer to the hole. Putting, it's pretty even distribution. Looks like 0 to 5 feet or a little less than tour average, but everything else is right in line with tour average. So it's not like, for example, the U.S. Open, when we really focused on avoiding 3 putts and lag putting and long distance putting, when at Torrey Pines you really have to make a lot of long putts. Here it's just kind of an even distribution, so really we're only going to take a look at bent in that regard when we're looking at putting stats. But there's a look at TPC Deere Run at a quick look. And before we go to the Pro Visualizer, let's take a look at the conditions for the course. So again, as I mentioned, it's generally easy to average. I would call it easy. Sometimes it's been average, but it's on the easier side. Greens have been bent for as long as I can remember. Yeah, I mean all the way back to 2012 they've been bent. So we're going to look at who's putting well on bent recently and long-term bent performance. Again, I don't pay much attention to green firmness just because it can vary from year to year, rain, how the course wants to set up, and so on. Hitting fairways has always been easy at this course. There was 1 round back in 2014 that was average, but it's been easy to hit the fairway. Long rough, that's been a very common trend the past few weeks. Green speeds have been average to fast. That was something else that I looked at this past weekend, was putting on fast bent greens. I don't know if I'm going to focus on fast as much, but I'm definitely going to do bent. I might look at fast just in case they run fast. It's par 71. 2019. If I mistakenly say last year, I will mean 2019. But 2019, the course played a little shorter than 7,200. I believe the official scorecard says about 7,224, roughly. And 2019, the winds were, calm to moderate, and I am seeing somewhat similar 5 days out. So we'll take a look at the wind here in a bit. Sorry, let me make sure I've got the chat up. Again, please jump into chat if you want. Ask questions. Want some interaction. Maybe you bet somebody else. You didn't bet Cam Davis. Come in here and tell me to F off, that I screwed you over. I just want to hear from you. How'd you do this weekend? Betting wise or DFS. Obviously the outright betting was good for me since I had Cam Davis, but even DFS wise, it was a solid week for me. But there's a look at the historic conditions of TPC Deere Run at the John Deere Classic. Let's actually take a look at some tournament history and see what kind of players here kind of pop off the chart. So in 2019, you had Dylan Fratelli win it, Russell Henley, Landry, Charles Howe, Shank, Vaughn Taylor, Nick Watney, Lucas Glover, Bill Hawes, Wes Roach, and Roger Sloan were your tied for 10th and better. That's actually down to 17th. The big thing that I noticed there, with the exception of Dylan Fratelli, who has gained distance the past couple of years, none of these guys are exceptionally long off the tee. They're generally fairly accurate. A lot of these guys are known for being good putters. Vaughn Taylor's a very good putter. I believe Watney's a good putter. Lucas Glover was, at this time, he was in a resurgence of his career. He was on fire. Most of these guys are good putters, if not just great on bent. Lucas Glover is clearly not a good putter, but bent is his best, and he's been putting better lately. Let's just take a look here. John, no, I've got the caps lock on. Shoot. John Deere, so he's got 10th and 25th the past two times out. A couple of miscuts and then a 15th way back. So, what I'll call, what's the word I'm looking for? Some, I had the word and it just escaped me. It's volatile. That's the word. Volatile results for Lucas Glover. High finishes or miscuts. Let's go back to the tournament history. So that was in 2019. Again, most of these guys generally pretty good. I know Vaughn Taylor's a very good putter. Roger Sloan's somebody that I've backed, a few weeks ago. Generally pretty good. Adam Shank, not the best on bent, but is certainly a good putter generally. Has not been in good form lately with the putter. But, when he gets hot, he'll get blisteringly hot, clearly. But most of these guys are pretty good putters. So, gosh dang it, I keep doing that same thing. So that's 2019. You got Dylan Fratelli. 2018, Michael Kim, Sam Ryder, Bronson Burgoon. You got Harold Varner, Romero, John Huh, Keith Mitchell, Kevin Streelman were your top 11. Zach Johnson again. You can see the run he has been on at this tournament. Back to 2015, he was tied for third. 2034, tied for fifth, tied for 16th. So Zach Johnson historically plays this event very, very well, and you can see why. He is a very good bent grass putter. He's a very good putter in general. His past two outings, not so much, but look how ridiculous he can get with this. 8.5 strokes. This is look back and laugh in the rearview mirror type numbers. 8.5, 6, 4.5. Come down here, 6, almost 6.5, 6. So he is a good putter naturally, but when he gets hot, he gets real hot with the flat stick. So that just kind of gives you a look at who are kind of the top of the leaderboards the past few years. Naturally, because he's made the cut in the past 5 editions of this tournament, Zach Johnson's your leader in strokes gained total. Johnson Wagner, interestingly, is second on that list. He is not in good form. But let's see what his John Deere. Oh, gosh. So, 2019, made the cut, wasn't outstanding. And 16th, miscut, and then 5th, 7th. So, hey, Johnson Wagner, we're talking about you. That's more than we can say about you normally. Ryan Moore, Andrew Landry, he's somebody that's kind of known as a popper. He'll have some random results, and he'll just come out of nowhere and kind of win a tournament and then fade back to relative obscurity. He has played this course fairly well. He's not good on bent, clearly, but the form right now is made the cut at the Schwab, barely, I guess, or had a bad weekend, and then miscut, okay at Harbortown, and then 3 more miscuts. So he's not in good form, but he's one of those guys that kind of just, like I said, just kind of pop. And he's had very good form here at TPC Deere Run. Third last time it was played, and a 50th, and then 8th. So, I don't like players like Andrew Landry just because I can't put a finger on him. I don't know when they're going to do well or do atrocious, and most of the time if I think they're going to do well in a week, they'll miss the cut or withdrawal or whatever and laugh in my face. And the weeks that I don't pick them, they're going to go out and fuck around and win the tournament and then still laugh in my face. So I don't know. Brian Harmon, he's had some pretty good success here. He was second in the strokes gained total. If we went looking back at the base model, Brian Harmon here, second strokes gained total coming into the event, the last 50 rounds. So he's got some good course history here. Patrick Rogers is a fairly decent putter. Vaughn Taylor, Scott Brown. Scott Brown's had some good success here, I believe. There's Fratelli. Of course, the only time he's played it, he won it. So take that for what you will. Kyle Stanley's made some cuts. Hal, Berger, Wierenski, Duncan, Michael Kim. Very middling other than that big win. Henley's only played it once, came in second. You got Seamus Power, who's made the cut 3 straight times. Danny Lee, I guess all of his strokes gained are from back in 2015 because he's withdrawn, he's disqualified, and missed the cut. So, yeah, that's not good. There's Glover. So, there you go. There's a quick look at some of the guys that are playing this year and how they've done at this tournament in relative to their strokes gained total. Let's go ahead and jump into the Pro Visualizer just to kind of get a gauge on the course outline here. Does not look to be a lot. Does not look like there is a lot or any water on the course. There was a little bit at the Rocket Mortgage, but not much. I don't see any here. Just looks like a little tree-lined golf course. I do know there's got some rolling hills when you get out into the western Illinois, Iowa area. They'll have some rolling terrain. So apparently, D.A. Webring, one of the things that I read, he used that to his advantage, or used it in his design to take advantage of the contours and the lay of the land. But you see, there are a few holes that look to be a little tight, driving windows and such, and there are some holes that are wide open. So that's probably why this course rates as easier to hit the fairways, and distance being more than accuracy because you just bomb it. You've got some bailout areas here. I did want to take a look at a couple of the holes. Let's take a look at the 9th hole. It is the toughest hole on the course. It's a par 4. This says 504. I've seen 501, 504. Let's jump to hole 9. So, given a drive of 305, you've got a lot of room here to the left, but your approach shot is lined with trees to a green that is, protected pretty well on the bunker, with a bunker on the right. So it's just length makes this hole very tough. And then I believe there was a par 3 that was fairly difficult and or very long. So that we just take a look at the 9th. Yeah, so this one's the 6th toughest. There it is, 4th toughest. Yeah, so the 3rd, only 140 yards, and it plays as the 4th toughest hole. So let's take a look at that real quick, see what that can glean some insight here on why this course is so difficult. It said the 4th hole, didn't it? Oh, this is why I'm an idiot. It's the 3rd hole. Thank God for FantasyNational.com, because if I didn't have FantasyNational.com, I wouldn't even know what hole they were playing, let alone course or who was good. So FantasyNational.com, go invest in it. This here says 186. If I remember correctly, I think this tree might protect. I think you have to shape your shot around this tree. I don't remember exactly what makes this hole so difficult, but I believe this tree kind of hangs out over, and you have to draw or fade if you're a lefty, you're shot around that tree. I could be wrong about that, but that for some reason is ringing a bell to me. Looks like it's a fairly small green, again protected with the bunker there, and I'm sure this is flowing away to runoff areas and such. But like I said, I didn't want to go too much into it. We can take a look at one of the par fives. Let's take a look at the easiest par five. That would be the second, 535. So I'll make sure I hit the second hole this time, not the fourth. Yeah. This is very, very attackable. So given a 300-yard drive, which is fairly normal now on the PGA Tour, you're left with 260 in, which for some guys is as little as a 4-iron. Maybe some guys might have to hit a hybrid or a 5-wood, but very attackable hole. Again, not a lot of trouble here, just bunkers. And if you're in this bunker in 2, a lot of guys will get up and down for that to still save a birdie, or to get a birdie. So not a very difficult course by any means. You're gonna have to shoot low again, which kind of dates, kind of looks back at this last week's Rocket Mortgage. The previous winners of the Rocket Mortgage were -23 and -25. This year played the toughest it has at -18, and that's still pretty darn low. Before we get to the wind and end the show, let's take a look at what the historic. We saw the cut line. Let's see what the historic winning scores have been. Yeah, so for Telly, 21 in 2019, 27. 18, DeChambeau, I believe that was his first career win. 22, 20. That was the playoff with Spieth beating Tom Gillis. 22. So you're going to have to go low again this week, kind of like the Rocket Mortgage. So definitely, just on first observation, definitely going to look at easy courses again this week to get a feel for who might be popping out in the models, who plays easy courses well. Fortunately, there's no D.A. Wabering other designed courses in the database at Fantasy National, so don't have a lot to look on there. But there's the initial research. I'm going to be looking at a lot of easy scores or easy courses around this length. I might even look at less than 7,200 just because it's so close to the 7,200 barrier. Definitely going to be looking at bent greens, shorter approach shots, and so on. Last thing before we wrap up, we always look at the weather on Sunday evening just for shits and giggles because it changes hour by hour. But to get a early look at what the wind and weather could look like, and there looks to be some rain in the forecast on the weekend. Thursday, pretty benign as of right now, 9 to 10 miles an hour, no big gusts, and chilly, actually pleasant conditions, high of 68. Warming up Friday, little bit of wind picking up here at the end of the day. Rain in the forecast for Saturday with a lot of wind early, so I imagine probably some kind of front's coming through. It looks like it's a warm front because the high of that day is going to be 84, and then rain again overnight. Again, with some blustery conditions on Sunday, at least forecasted for now, which should be fun. I like it when Sunday there's some challenge, tests guys' nerves and patience and such, makes for an interesting championship Sunday. So there's a quick look at the initial research for the John Deere 2021 John Deere Classic at TPC Deere Run. Again, comment below. How did you do this weekend? Hopefully you were in on Cam Davis like I was. Big payoff this week. I also hit top 20s on Cam Davis and Alex Noren. A profitable weekend for me. Also, obviously had a few misses as well. I picked Matt Wolff to win. He was up there and then faded. My big long shot bomb was Christopher Ventura. Didn't make the cut, which, if you're wanting to look for a reason to fade anything that I say, just go with that. I picked Christopher Ventura to win. But anyway, so again, comment below. Let me know how you did. I'll always respond. Smash that like button for wins. And just smash that like button anyway for providing the stats. Subscribe to the channel. The support's always appreciated. Until the Data Dive show tomorrow, may all your bets be